Okay, the last thing I want to ask you about is I saw that you've been doing is it some live talks with David Yontiff? What is it that you guys have been collaborating?
Let's talk about David. David Yontiff is always in the news. Uh, yes, virtual live podcast with David Yontiff, which is essentially you pay, you come to a virtual recording where we do our podcast. People get to see that behind the scenes, and then we do like an hour and a half of Ask Us Anything. They can ask
But
us any question.
are you guys in person and then it's almost like a big Zoom and everybody's
Yes,
just watching?
yes, yes.
Okay. And how many people are actually coming to watch this kind of thing?
Usually we average about 50 people.
Wow. Okay. And you do this what, once a month?
No, we've been doing it every like 3 months. We'll probably do another one sometime in the new year. It's a lot of work behind the scenes because we also try to get a sponsor because it's an opportunity for, I mean, you have big advertisers. It's a more affordable option for a lot of our small businesses, like to come on, to have access to our email, our people. So we have to work on getting sponsors and laying out the show. So it just takes a lot of work. So we do them probably every 3 months.
Got it.
Two or 3 months.
So I've been getting some DMs, and I don't know if it's from people that are watching your stuff, the virtual shows later, or if are you still doing once in a while an episode with him here and there?
Yeah, we still do a pod trade weekly. So
Okay.
every Thursday and Saturday, he's on my show. And then he airs our episodes. I don't know what days. And then he puts the virtual live podcast shows on his Patreon, which has
Got it.
caused a lot of drama. A lot of people have subscribed and had a lot of thoughts on because
Interesting.
he
Right.
answers it all.
So I keep getting DMs here and there from people saying, David Yontiff is still talking about you. My latest one I got from somebody in Australia, which I think is funny. She said she keeps hearing my name come up in conversation and I should not stoop to his level. And, I don't even bother anymore to ask what has happened. But apparently he told people that I had reached out and that he chose not to reach back out to me. So you want to fill me in because it sounds like you were in the room for these conversations.
Well, this was actually hopefully you'll like this, but the last virtual live show we did, he said good things about you and he said I need to make up with her. Don't quote me. I think it was something about he just hasn't had time, but he said he would rather make up with you than anyone else that he's feuding with. He had Bravo Bench ended. So, I don't think he's very friendly anymore with his former co-hosts, Anna Kinkoses and Ace. And
Oh,
so
it ended as quickly as it started. That's interesting.
it ended. So I think he was very complimentary to you, saying, yes, you had texted him. He needs to reach out, and you're on top of his list of someone to reconcile with. So I think this is
Oh,
progress between you two. Like
oh, interesting.
I'm trying to facilitate a makeup here. I feel like 2025 will be your year. You two will come back.
We may come back, but do you think that you will have a falling out with him? You're the only one he hasn't had a falling out with.
I did people because people DM me this all the time. You're next. You're next. I always say to people, I think you have to take David for what he is, right? And David and I have a very good relationship because I don't have any expectations on our friendship. Meaning, I know what David's about. David is about his show is his baby, and he is going to put his show and all that goes into that show first. And I'm fine with that because, like, if as long as you're full disclosure with me beforehand, there's no pretense that it's going to be anything more than that.
Well,
And
here's the difference between you and me and him. Our children are our babies. Whoever your husband is the next priority. But then number three, I think, is your show. For me, it's my show also. So, but I do know how to prioritize a
yeah,
friendship or do the right thing or not talk badly about somebody who I care for. So that to me is how this whole feud started because as I will say again, a headline came out where someone got wrong what he and I were talking about, and it was about PK and Dorit. And, I thought that was not cool because they hadn't announced yet that they were getting a divorce or separation or whatever, but I knew that that could be fuel for it. And my relationship with PK was over a decade ago and more than that because my daughter's 12. So we're talking 15 years ago. And the way that the article was written is that I had spoken on his podcast like I had just had an affair with, or, that I was dating PK like it was a recent thing. And I told David to clarify that with the person that wrote the article. And he wouldn't. He refused to do that. And because it was getting clickbait and headlines. And I didn't like that. I thought that he should cover the basis to be factual, and especially because it was about me and I didn't like that. And he didn't do it. So he whatever his words are that I went off on him, I got unhinged. I didn't get unhinged. I was mad. I was mad that he didn't come through for a friend and correct that, because I thought it was irresponsible for someone who was married to have that out in the paper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then I thought it was terrible that he chose to block me and, blame me and not be friends with me anymore when I was ready to talk to him. So, anyway, that's
He
where we
always
stood with
says
it.
that you're the one that texted him and said, I want to take a friend break. I don't think.
I
Um,
did. I did say I'm done with this friendship right now. And then afterwards, it had been months and I was like, listen, I would like to resume our friendship, but like have a conversation about this. And he wouldn't even have a conversation. Like he was mad at me. I didn't do anything to him at all. So now what's upsetting is that he
once.
knows that I reached out to him a bunch of times and he just chose not to respond, which I think is just a dick move. So hopefully he will write
Oh, wait,
me.
I thought he did respond. You guys were supposed to have a phone
Yes,
conversation.
he
Message never got.
responded and said, "I will call you after, my show today." Never called. I texted him again and said, "I'm free the rest of the day." He just, stopped responding. So he owes me an apology and he owes me a phone call and he owes me some responsibility in a relationship. If you can't be friends with somebody unless they keep up the
Oh
friendship
my God.
and
I
answer
want
your
to be
phone.
there. I hope we can get the three of us on a podcast. I want to be there for this podcast reconciliation because he says that, the people, and I mean, it is true. Like a lot of people do listen to his podcast. So he says, like, they wrote the headline and what was he going to do? I mean, message that woman. She wasn't going to retract it. So it's
Well,
like, he's like, but
Well,
I
we could have done another
get,
podcast talking about it. You know what I mean? I felt like it was
yeah.
irresponsible. And I don't like that. I don't like headlines to be such clickbait that it makes him money, but doesn't tell the truth. I don't like that. That's not responsible, in my opinion.
Well, like I said, I hope you guys. I thought there was like some light in the tunnel. I hope he calls you in 2025, and then
Well,
maybe.
maybe I could be a guest on your next virtual thing and people can facilitate whether or not we get back together.
What I was thinking. I'm gonna try to orchestrate that. That'd be so good.
That would be good. And then you could also have Kim D,
Never gonna.
Heather
That's never gonna happen.
McDonald,
And by the
Heather
way, Kim came
McDonald.
for me. Kim came for me. I wouldn't even allow that. Kim came for me after I defended Kim, did a
You did
video
this,
about Kim.
you did the same thing to me.
And I've gone to David. I've said this to David on the record. I've said to David when that happened, you need to call her. You're never going to be as strong. You're never going to grow your Patreon as big. I've been through something similar.
Yeah.
Find a way to make it work, even if it means she takes content and tries to monetize it. And then she did this whole rant about I'm not a girl's girl, all this stuff. And I have been nothing but complimentary to her about how great they were. And I slid into her DMs. I said, I hope you guys can work it out. So no, I wouldn't even let her back on. No, screw
Right.
her.
Okay. And then you have Heather
She's
McDonald and Kelly Dodd. Huh.
Kelly's a hatrepreneur. She that's what she's made her money off now. I mean, she just feuds with anybody. She'll feud with a stick. So I don't. And Kelly's also come for me over stuff. I like no. And Kelly's ridiculous. I could care less. I am a huge fan of Heather. I love Heather. I disagree with that one on David, and I've said it because I guess there was some text message about or DM about. She said, "Welcome to my city." David taught took that as like she was sort of like watching out, like you're in my turf.
Right.
Um, but I think Heather McDonald's one of the most talented podcasters of all time. She's
Me
amazing.
too. I love her.
Love
I
her
think
show.
she's great. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love when she has me on. She's fantastic. And I
I
will
cannot.
say,
I have these disagreements with David, and we're like totally fine. I don't understand. I don't know what happens with women. I think they have an expectation with him. I don't know. I mean, I have an expect, but maybe I have a
I don't think
life.
they don't even know him. I think they don't like how he speaks about them like he does know them. Listen, I know a lot of people have a hard time with Kelly Dodd. Kelly Dodd and I do not share the same political views. We don't share a lot of the same views on a lot of things. But I love Kelly. She and I are close when she comes to Florida. Her and her husband have been to my house twice. They've gone out to dinner with me and my daughter, just the four of us. Like it's a very strange relationship that you wouldn't believe happened, but like I'm close with Kelly, which is odd because she seems like somebody who hates everybody, right? But she we met on the street through who was she at? She was with Jeff Lewis. and they were at dinner, and I was at a restaurant, and she came up to me and was like, "Everyone tells me I look like you, and we have to meet." And we became best friends. It was so funny.
Oh my God.
I know.
Well, look, if it works for you, that's great. But with
Right.
Kelly, it's like, I mean, come on.
Yes, she has a hard time with a lot of people. So, it is what it is.
She asks
Um,
for everything she gets.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. All right. Well, Sarah, I love seeing you again. Thank you
Love
for
you,
all
my
that
friend.
podcast. I mean, all that podcast information, all that. I love hearing what you're doing. I am so excited to hear what happens with you. Thank you for all the roundup of what's happening in reality TV. And we
All
have
right.
to do this again.
I was going to say, we're going to do this again right after like the holiday because
Okay.
I got to get an update on your dating life. Like, people love your dating life.
I have an update. All I will tell you as of right now is that I am dating somebody very seriously. Um, as we were doing the podcast, he just arrived with his mother who is in town. It's the first time I'm going to be meeting her. So as soon as I leave my podcast studio, I will be saying hello to her for the first time. She's staying with me through Monday.
Oh my God. Okay. We're going to do a big update. Everybody loves your dating life. I can't wait to hear it. We're sending you good vibes.
Thank
Let's
you.
call our astrologer friend. Hopefully, she's out of bed. She
Oh
can give
God.
you some, Amy, we want you back, sister.
God, that's so funny. All right. Well, I'll give you
All
an
right.
update in a couple months or whenever we see
Got
each
it.
other again. But I love you. Thank you
Love you,
so much. It was
gorgeous.
great to see you.
You got it.
Mwah.
Talk to you soon. Bye.